Did you miss your cruise because your flight was delayed? You're out thousands unless you had travel insurance. Today we're breaking down the why cruise travel insurance matters, what is covered, and how to choose the right plan. Let's dive in. Cruises are different from any other type of vacation. There are strict departure deadlines, you're at sea, there's multi-country itineraries, and there's big upfront costs. So let's talk about those strict departure deadlines. The ship is not going to wait if your flight is delayed. You have to get there before the cutoff, which is a couple hours before the departure. Then you're at sea. If you get sick or injured, you can't just go to your local urgent care. There really aren't any. You have to use onboard services, and they can be very pricey. When you have a multi-country itinerary, every country has different healthcare and entry rules. For instance, Aruba won't even treat you until you provide them with payment. So you have to give them a credit card and then they'll treat you. So if you're having a heart attack, they literally won't treat you. This is really, really scary. And a lot of people don't find this out until they're in the middle of a circumstance. And just remember, cruises can be a big upfront cost. You have to do your final payment 75, 90, 120 days before sailing. And a lot can happen in that short time frame that could potentially make you miss your cruise. So let's dig in a little deeper about travel insurance. A lot of people are probably wondering, what is a covered reason? Well, let's start. It's a specific event or situation listed in your travel insurance policy that qualifies you for reimbursement or benefits, such as canceling your trip, interrupting it, or needing emergency help. Examples of common covered reasons are you get sick or injured before or during your trip, a family member gets seriously ill or passes away, jury duty or being subpoenaed, your home is damaged in a fire, flood, or a natural disaster, there's a terrorist incident at your destination within a certain time frame, so you're really going to want to look at that policy when it comes to that. You lose your job. You never know. Being unemployed for a certain amount of time could get you covered with your plan. What if your travel provider goes bankrupt? They may include this in the coverage as well. And you just never know these days. If somebody goes out of business, if your hotel closes and decides they're not going to service you anymore, you might be able to get covered under your insurance. And weather issues. You need to read the policy as far as weather issues, but this could come into play, especially in the summer season in the Caribbean. If your reason for canceling or changing your trip isn't listed in the policy, it's not covered, which means you won't get reimbursed unless you purchase cancel for any reason coverage. So keep that in mind. What are the top reasons travelers need insurance? Number 1, trip cancellation. Think family emergencies, illness, job loss, and potentially jury duty. If you cancel for a covered reason, you can get 100% reimbursement. That's really important. Number 2 is trip interruption. You have to fly home early due to an emergency. Insurance covers missed cruise days and extra flights. That is a great perk for insurance. Number 3, missed connections and delayed flights. If your flight is delayed and you miss the ship, travel insurance can cover hotel stays, meals, and the costs to catch up on the ship at the next port. Number 4, medical emergencies at sea. And I tell my clients all the time, this is the number 1 reason I personally purchase travel insurance. Because your health insurance in the US is not going to cover you on a ship and outside the country. Medical evacuations themselves can cost $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 to get you off the ship and to a place that can handle your medical emergency. And you're responsible for that. They're going to ask for a credit card to put it on. And once they max it out, you're going to be responsible for the remaining bill. So this one policy that maybe costs you $100, $200 will cover that for the duration of your trip. That's super important. So when you're thinking about whether or not you want to spend that $100 or $200 to buy that policy, think about the $50,000 you might have to spend if you have to be evacuated off the ship for a medical emergency. Number 5, lost or delayed luggage. Travel insurance can reimburse you for essentials if your bags are lost, delayed, or stolen. That's really important because you don't really want to pay to replace all the items that were in your luggage. Number 6, weather disruptions. Hurricanes or storms can change itineraries or cancel sailings. Insurance can reimburse non-refundable costs. So say you get into town and you're ready to board your ship tomorrow and a hurricane comes in and your ship didn't make it in, but you're stuck there. Maybe you have to wait a day to get on the ship. You still have to pay for a hotel that night. All the food that you were expecting to get free on board, you're no longer going to have. So these are the types of expenses that you may incur for a weather disruption. Next up, optional add-ons and upgrades. So there's cancel for any reason coverage, also known as CFAR. This can reimburse you for up to 75% of your trip, depending on the provider your insurance is through. And this is good if you just want to book a trip and you may have to cancel that for an uncovered reason. You do have to remember it has to be purchased within 14 or 21 days, depending on the policy. And that is with regard to the deposit of your trip. So remember the key is 14 to 21 days of deposit is when you have to have that purchased. This one, great one to consider. Adventure sports rider. If you're planning excursions like scuba diving, zip lining, or an ATV riding adventure, standard insurance may not cover injuries without this add-on. So make sure you do an add-on for that. How do you get the coverage for a pre-existing condition? 1, you can get the waiver if you buy the insurance within 14 to 21 days of your first payment. This is super critical, but you have to make sure you read the policy because one may have a different coverage than the other. So one may require 14 days, one may require 21 days. It's specific to the insurance provider. And you have to be medically able to travel at the time of purchasing the policy. These are 2 major important things to consider when buying insurance and making sure you're covered for pre-existing conditions. Here's a great example of why you need pre-existing coverage. You had a heart attack 2 years ago and are stable. If you buy a plan early and qualify for the waiver, you're covered. If you wait too long and have complications on the cruise, it might be excluded for coverage. Don't risk it. Buy it within the 14 to 21 days and make sure you're covered, and then you can go on and enjoy your trip. So you're probably asking, where do I buy my insurance? You can get it from a couple places. One would be the cruise line, which I never recommend to my clients. It's not as comprehensive as a separate policy, and it doesn't always cover everything on your trip. And one of the key things is, most people don't know this, is you actually have to call the cruise line and have it paid for separately. It looks like you can add it to your trip and you think you're paying for it, but if you don't pay for it at the time of booking, then you don't have any pre-existing conditions coverage. And that's extremely important to have. The second way you can have insurance coverage is through your credit card. This is not my top choice either. This might be good for a secondary coverage. So use the credit card that has the insurance and then have something else as a backup, but don't use it as your primary. It's not as comprehensive as you think it is, and most of the time they don't have any kind of pre-existing conditions coverage, and sometimes it won't even cover more than, say, $250 of your trip. You really have to read the fine print. And the third way to cover your trip for insurance is the way I recommend, and it's through a third-party provider. I use Add-ons and I use Travel Insure. Those are my 2 go-tos, and there are links to those companies on my website, so check them out. You can do a price quote right through there, and it's pretty simple to do. Third-party insurance providers are more flexible, they have broader coverage, they're often cheaper than the cruise line. They have cancel for any reason coverage options, and they have direct medical support. So you want to make sure when you're purchasing a policy that it is primary coverage. That means they won't try to get you to use any other type of insurance prior to using that coverage. So say you are in the United States and there's an incident. You don't even need to put it through your insurance, pay your deductible, and deal with your insurance company. You can literally use your travel insurance. for that, and they will handle it all for you. That's really important. So I just wanted to point out that you should use this as a guide for how to move forward with looking for insurance, but always call the insurance provider and ask all your questions. They are the insurance agents. I'm not. I have to tell this to my clients every time. If they ask me a question, I guide them towards either the online version of the policy, or I give them the phone number for Allianz or Travel Insured, and then they are the ones that need to call and ask the specific questions, because we can't answer every question about an insurance policy. They're 60 pages long, at least, and it's all legal. So that is my 2 cents for that. Just make sure you do all the digging you need to make sure you're covered for your trip. And just use this as a reference as to how to get started. So to end this, cruise insurance isn't just about peace of mind. It's protection for your vacation, your health, and your wallet. Because remember, this is the one thing you should think about. Can you afford to take $100,000 out of your bank account to pay for a helicopter flight to a hospital? If the answer is no, then you should never take a trip without insurance. I always recommend travel insurance to my clients, and I never travel without it myself. If you have any further questions, put them in the comments, and I will again direct you to the right resource. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate any support you can give me, and reach out if you have questions. Have a great day.